y'all. Welcome to the Tea with Tia podcast. You all, this is part two. You got it. Part two of transitioning through relationships, specifically romantic relationships. Now, if you have not seen part one, you gotta go check out part one. You all, I was very vulnerable. I shared all the tea. Y'all catch it? I shared all the tea in that particular episode. And so you are gonna wanna go catch it. It was raw, it was real, it was relevant. It's something that you're gonna wanna tune into because guess what? If you don't, this episode may not make all the sense in the world. So be sure to go check out part one. While you're there, please like, share, and subscribe across all of the streaming platforms. Make sure that somebody else is brought into this conversation. So welcome you all. Welcome to my living room. I'm really excited to be sharing part two about this particular topic because now we are on the other side. Again, you got to go check out part one to even know what that means, but we are even transitioning in our conversation when it comes to transitioning in romantic relationships. Sometimes they are very hard, but sometimes really hard. It's painful, it's turbulent, it's all the things, but guess what? That is not where it ends. And so today, that's what we're going to dive in on. We are going to dive in on being on the other side of experiencing something. I want to say this, and I said this in the first episode, but I want to make sure that we are aware of something because it's going to help us navigate where we're going. That you are not what you have experienced. You are not what you've gone through. That label that society or even yourself may want you to wear based on something that you've experienced or even done yourself. Hey, that's not who you are. So let's talk about who are you? Who are you? I love this question because I had to ask myself that when I began transitioning because my identity was wrapped up in a place that it should not have been wrapped up in. And it's okay, things happen. I course corrected and we kept moving. But I had to decide, hey, who am I? So today we're going to talk about some really practical tips on transitioning. So the first one I would say is that ask yourself, who am I? Not just what I do, right? Because maybe some of you already what's coming to your mind is, oh, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a business person, I don't know, I work in higher education, whatever it is, I'm a sibling, I'm a friend. Yeah, those are who you are in a way, but it really speaks to a lot of what you do. I'm asking, who are you? Something that I had to decide when going through that particular transition is that I know who I am at the core of me. At the core of me, I'm fun, I'm goofy, I love to laugh, I like to have a good time, I'm caring, and all these other things. I had to decide that. Why was that important? Because if I didn't process that, if I didn't think on that, if I didn't even kind of navigate learning even more of that space, I could have become something that environment or become something that decision would have forced me to be. But that's not how it works. Hey, we're not going to allow things that we've gone through or are currently going through to dictate who we are. We're not going to allow those experiences to tell us where we go. No, here's a lesson that I want to share with you, that your emotions and your feelings, they are great indicators. They are not good guides. I'm going to say that again. This is a lesson that I learned in that season that was so awesome. That our feelings and our emotions, yeah, they are really good indicators, but they are not great guides. You cannot allow your feelings and your emotions to guide you. The Bible actually speaks to this. It tells us that our feelings are fleeting, our emotions are fleeting. Literally, fleeting means to be changing, to swiftly even change. And so we can't allow feelings and emotions to dictate the way in which we go. And so I had to say, okay, Tia, who are you? And it took some time. It wasn't something that I could answer in one moment, but a very practical tip that I would say as you are navigating transition is asking yourself, who are you? The next tip that I would give you when you are going through a transition or in transition, if you will, is not only saying, okay, who are you, but who do you want to become? Who do you want to be? This is what I love about life. We get to evolve, you all. We do not have to stay the same. We don't have to stay the same in our thinking, in our being, in our look. We don't even have to stay the same in our fashion. Guess what? Even that's evolved, right? We don't have to stay the same in how we steward maybe our finances or steward our friendships. Whatever it is, you get to evolve. And so that means you get to ask yourself, hey, who do I want to become? And when you ask yourself that and when you decide who you want to become, guess what? Now you have a really great starting point to backtrack and say, okay, so now how do I get there? For me, who do I want to be? When I ask myself that question, who do I want to become? If I'm honest, even after experiencing a divorce, wife was one of the answers. I know that God, one of the reasons I'm on earth is because I'm called to be someone's wife, not just in the sense of like, oh, I'm supposed to be married and that's it. No, I'm supposed to be someone's helper. There is someone out there that God has for me, right? That I am supposed to help see his vision come to life. There is someone out there who I am supposed to be joined to, if you will, be suitable with, so that we can multiply, as the Bible tells, and raise kingdom children to see them do the same thing, to help them live out their godly purpose and enjoy life in a way that God intended. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, so I knew that. And I remember even when I was writing that on paper, if I'm honest, I kind of scoffed at it. And I knew in that moment God had implanted that thought, but it wasn't the only thought. I also knew in asking myself, hey, who do I want to become? I wanted to become someone that was loving. I didn't want to sit in something that could have maybe caused me to not be a loving person. I wanted to be kind. I wanted to be funny. I wanted to be all that God called me to be. And so the next tip, we're on 3 now, that I would give you is not only asking yourself, who are you? Not only asking yourself, who do you want to become, but also saying, who does God say I am? Now, y'all, please take notes because I don't know if I'm gonna remember all these steps, okay? But also, who does God say I am? Because that really helped drive my answers. That really helped drive some of the next steps over the course of several years. Another thing that I would say would be a really great tool is to be okay with sharing your testimony. Now, you cannot share your testimony with everybody at the same time. Social media may not be a platform, maybe at one point, but I believe that there's even seasons of transitioning when it comes to sharing our testimony. But sharing your testimony, it is a great thing. The Bible tells us that. It tells us in Revelation that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Did you ever consider this, that maybe it's your testimony that's going to help unlock someone's beautiful transitioning? That maybe it's your testimony that someone needs to hear to help them heal, to help them see freedom, to help them walk in forgiveness, to help them understand that it's gonna be okay. That's something I had to recognize and acknowledge, that hey, it's okay to share my testimony, because not only did this help me, but it is going to help someone else. It's really important that as God allows us to go through things that can be tough, and he told us that these things would happen, maybe not that specific thing, but that tough things would happen. It's important that we're okay with sharing, but you have to be wise in who you share with, and even wise with when you share. I know for me, a platform that Holy Spirit allowed me to share early on my testimony with was social media, specifically Facebook. And he really breathed on that moment. He said, okay, today I want you to get on and I want you to share this. And I'm like, now say what? Do what? With all these people? Like, I can call my girlfriends and share it with them, but he said no. And I remember the moment when that happened, so many different comments and conversations came from that. And what I loved is it pointed people back to Jesus. It was another moment where it was like, hey, I know you went through something tough. I'm going through something tough, but we still serve a God who is faithful. This is what I want you to know right now. God is trusted. He's timeless. He's trustworthy, and he is true. We can trust God. We can know that he is true. We can know that, hey, I have history with him. And I want to encourage you with that, even that's another practical tip. When you get in your mind, maybe, or maybe there's anxious thoughts, or maybe there are thoughts that will have you to believe that you're not going to see the other side of this transition, you can be reminded, hey, I got history with God. And sometimes you got to say it like that and remind yourself of those moments. Like when you say you have history with him, what is that history? What has he already brought you through? What has he already healed you from? What has he already seen you through? What are those moments? I know for me, I had to process the death of my father. My father died very suddenly of stage 4 stomach cancer. And I remember when that happened, when we got the news, 30 days later, my dad was deceased. He had left this earth. And I was like, huh? Like I couldn't even fathom going through life without my father. Recently I celebrated my 40th birthday. And as I was approaching my 40th, I'm like, without my dad? Like I just it was wild to me, if I could say it that way. But it is something that I experienced and that God helped and healed me through. That was something I said, yo, I got history with God. When I was a little girl, I was 9 years old, riding in the car with my mom and my siblings, and my mom was making a turn to get onto the highway, and a car coming in the opposite direction, y'all, a big old Bronco. Back in the day, Broncos are made of nothing but steel, hit our car. And it hit our car with such impact that it literally caused our car to lift up off the ground and be turned in a different direction. The impact was so great and it hit my side that I had to, they had to do the jaws of life to get me out. That was stuff I saw on TV. But they did. I had to have 180 stitches and then plastic surgery. You can see maybe some of the scars on my face. My ear was hanging off. And people sometimes are like, did you get bit by a dog? I'm like, no, I was bigger than a dog. I was in a car wreck, but I had to experience that. That's another one of those things where I'm like, but God brought me through. I got history with God. And you too have history with God. And so I know that this transition that maybe you're experiencing right now is difficult. Maybe transition is upon you. Maybe you know someone that is going through transition. Remind yourself and remind them, hey, we got history with God. He's seen us through tough times before. Maybe that tough time didn't look like this one, but he's seen us through. And so, guess what? He's going to see us through again. Another lesson that I learned that was very helpful for me and very practical for me was that I had a choice to choose to be bitter or to be better. It's a choice, you all. I'm going to say it the way that I was taught it. Attitude, it is a choice. Can we choose bitterness? Yes. Can we choose frustration? Absolutely. Can we choose to be offended and walk in offense? Yes. Do things happen that offend us? Absolutely. Do things happen that maybe hurt us or cause us pain? Duh. Yes. I'm not saying they don't. I'm certainly not saying ignore it or act as if it isn't so. I am saying that how you choose to respond, it is just that. It's a choice. You can be bitter or you can be better. And I don't know about y'all, I didn't want to be bitter. And so I had to sit with that and say, hey, what are some practical steps that would help me to be better from this situation and not bitter? One of those was this: don't rehearse the hurt. I'm gonna say that again. Y'all, let's not rehearse the hurt. What does rehearsing the hurt look like? Talking about it all the time with everybody. Rehearsing the hurt can look like, okay, on one end, I'm being healed and I'm walking through healing. On the other end, I want to keep talking about it. And can you believe that they did this? Can you believe that they said that? That's rehearsing the hurt. I'm telling you now, that is not going to help aid in you transitioning and getting to the other side. And so you want to be careful not to rehearse the hurt. Something else that's really helpful when it comes to choosing to be better and not bitter is ensuring that the community that you're with, that they hold you accountable and that they aid in that they too are not trying to rehearse the hurt and bring things up and want to go over it and, man, did you see this and did you hear about that? You got to be intentional and okay with saying no and closing your ears off to what won't help you be better. I want to say this right now, that it's okay to say no. No, I'm not listening to that. No, I'm not going to gossip. No, I'm not going to choose to be a part of that conversation. Because when we say no to one thing, guess what? We're saying yes to another. No, I'm not going to be a part of that gossip because, yes, I want to walk in peace. No, I'm not going to be a part of this conversation that does not help me because I'm saying yes because I want to choose to be better. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Is that making sense? And so it is absolutely a choice whether we choose to be bitter or to be better. Another lesson that I've learned in transition and that I am still walking out right now, it is that it is okay, specifically in this romantic area, it's okay to be single. I said this in episode 1 that a lot of my identity had began to be wrapped up in being married, and I lost sight of where my identity was truly found. And so now here I am to this day. I'm single. I'm loving the single life, not to the degree that I want to stay it, but also not to the degree that I am what is the word that I want to say? That I am saying, hey, I don't want to be here, that I am crushing it, or that I am saying, Lord, I don't like this, I don't want this. It's not that, right? While I know that there is another transition coming for me, I've chosen to be content in the very place that I am in now. And so I would say that's another lesson in transition, to choose contentment. Contentment does not mean that we don't want to grow. It does not mean that we don't want to evolve. It does not mean that we are not making plans for the future, but it does mean that we're not cursing the current season. That's what I was trying to say earlier. There it is. That we are not cursing our current season. It's okay to be single. I remember sitting in a restaurant and I was eating by myself. And there was another booth of people, and they were having a good time and laughing. And it appeared to be a few couples on a date. And I remember thinking to myself, man, they gonna be over there thinking she over there by herself. She don't got nobody. She ain't with nobody. And I was like, girl, they not thinking about you. Can I encourage you? They not thinking about you. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in what other people may be thinking, or even what they're doing, or what they think about us. Hey, let me release you from that. They don't care. And I mean that in a loving way. I mean that to be freeing, as to say, you focus on you. You focus on your journey. You focus on your transition. That brings me to another lesson that I still to this day am walking out. I date myself. There was a time when I was like, man, I want to go to the movies. I want to take a road trip. I want to go to dinner. I want to go on a date. Guess what? One day I decided, then go on a date. And so I take myself out on dates. I do this very regularly. I enjoy being with myself. I enjoy me. Why is this important? It's not just important for me in my current season, but it's important so that when you do get back in a relationship, that you can help teach someone how to treat you. You got to enjoy you before you want to invite someone else into it to enjoy you. How are they going to enjoy what you don't even enjoy? And so it's important that even before you think about even bringing another person back into your life in this particular way, in a romantic relationship way, whether that be courting or dating of some form, engagement, boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, whatever it is, that you get to know you. That's another lesson. I had to get to know Teaa. I had to get to know who I was after. I had to get to know who I was now. I'm still getting to know me, not because I haven't sat with me, but because we evolve, right? We evolve. I have evolved. And so that would be another practical tip that I would give you when it comes to transitioning. And we're going to close it with this. And I kind of spoke to this earlier regarding accountability and community, but you got to surround yourself with people who are growing and going where you want to go. I'm going to say that again. Surround yourself around people who are growing and going where you want to go. You should not be the smartest person in the room. At times, you shouldn't even be the most healed person in the room, if I could say it that way. I really hope that you all understand. You ought to surround yourself around people who, yes, are in the same space as you, doing life on the same level as you, but also around people who can call you up. Also around people who see in you what you don't even see in yourself, because there's always a me that we don't see. There is a you that you don't see. And you need people around you who see in you, who can help bring you up. I want to be clear. I don't even mean that they see what you don't see and it's negative, if you will. I'm saying they see what you don't see and they're able to call you up to say, hey, you're a dynamic communicator. Hey, you would be a great foster parent. Hey, I think you really have a gift of entrepreneurship. Hey, I think that you would really do good with writing a book, writing a song, leading a class, whatever it is. You need people around you who see something in you that you don't see, so that they can help pull you up. Now, these ought to be people that you trust, because there may be practical steps and wisdom that they give you that, had you not trusted them, you may not be open to hearing. But there are some things that you are going to be doing in spaces that you're going to be moving into, that in transition you may have never even saw yourself doing, but in right community in transition, I promise you, as people say, the sky is the limit. I really believe it's further than the sky, but we'll go with that right now. But transition is a beautiful thing. I know that it doesn't always feel like it. Sometimes we're in the waiting room of transition. Sometimes we're in a space, I think about even a practical waiting room where surgery has already been done, maybe on you or on someone. And now you're just in this space waiting. You're waiting for an update. You're waiting for a report. You're waiting for next steps. It's okay to wait. There's beauty even in the waiting. And know this, that your waiting is not going to be in vain, that your waiting is not going to be something that does not benefit you. It too is a part of the Romans 8:28 scripture that says, and we know that all things work together for good for them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. And so I hope that me sharing just a little bit of my testimony and my journey, specifically regarding transitioning through a romantic relationship, in this case, transitioning through divorce, during, before, and the after. I hope that in some way this has encouraged you, that in some way that it has brought some level of transformation to your life, to your thinking, to your being, to your doing, and that it has encouraged you while giving you application to be able to move forward and knowing this, hey, I have history with God. And so, yes, I may be going through transition. Maybe I know someone going through transition, or maybe transition is going to soon be upon me. But no matter what, because I have history with God, it is well. It is well. I love you all. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. Remember to please share, like all the different things on all of the podcasts, or excuse me, platforms that you are on. Remember this, I love you and God does too. See you on the next episode. Peace.